Yes! Finally did it! Hey guys, thanks for joining me this morning. I'm really glad to have you here because today's video is a special one. I'm super stoked to say that we've finally done it. We finally reached 100 subscribers. I know it's not much by YouTube standards, but it sure means a lot to me. So to all of you who've subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. And to the rest of you, come on, what are you waiting for? 100 people can't be wrong. Although the weather's been amazing considering it's the middle of January, we're not going to get on the water today. We got a huge dump of snow right on Christmas Eve, and at the moment it's all just melting away. Which means that it's just going to be cold, wet, and muddy. But in light of the 100 subscribers, I thought I could regale you with a tale of my first and hopefully only rescue situation. So my mom had just bought her second kayak. Her first one was Little Red here, which she bought on kind of a whim, and it turns out that it's not a very good boat. It doesn't track very well, it doesn't have any cushioning on the seat, and when my mom tried to put her own cushion on, her center of gravity was too high, and even though this is a 30-inch plus wide kayak, she felt like she was way too tippy, and it really just doesn't have any kind of storage. Eventually we found her a much better kayak. And I was probably more excited for her to try it out than even she was. So I decided that a trip down the North Thompson would be fun. It was the middle of August, so the water was low. And with the exception of one spot, the section of river between McClure Ferry and Kamloops is pretty chill. Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you've actually seen me make that same trip multiple times. But at this point, I'd only done it 2 or 3 times. This was also only my second season with my own kayak, so I was super inexperienced, and my mom was even less so. But like I said, it's a pretty chill river. So I got Sam to drop us off at the McClure Ferry. At first, we were having a really nice trip. The weather was perfect and the water was calm. I was hunting down any kind of splashy bits that I could find, and my mom was just enjoying a nice float down the river. After a while, we stopped for some lunch, and hey, this should look familiar. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and check out this video here. Anyway, after lunch, we get right back to it and continue to have just a really nice day until things took a turn. So approximately halfway through the trip, there's a bit of a pinch point, and it drops in elevation a little bit. It's not much, just a couple of feet or something, but the water gets moving through there super quick. To give you an idea, the last time I went through there, I got up to almost 36 kilometers an hour. So the water's just ripping through there, and the waves are coming at you from all sorts of different directions. So for my level of experience, it was really heart-pounding, but just a super exciting section of the river. So as we make our approach, I tell my mom that she's going to want to get over to the right side of the river because it's less turbulent on that side. But I'm going to go right through the middle of the big splashy part, and we'll meet on the other side. That was my first big mistake. You got to keep in mind that my mom's just this tiny little 60-year-old lady that has almost no time on any river. Looking back on it now, I really should have stayed with her to make sure that she made it through safely. But I left her and blasted my way through the big splashy waves. And what I think happened is, I think she just kind of pointed her kayak in the general direction that she wanted to go, instead of making a beeline straight for shore. Because afterwards, she said the river just pulled her right in. So after I get through it, I look around and I don't see my mom anywhere. And instantly my gut just tightened right up. And I was trying to tell myself that if she went the way I told her to, then I would have gone through there faster, and she just hasn't caught up to me yet. But I didn't really believe that, and regardless, I should be able to see her getting through there. So I turn around and start making my way up the river, and of course my brain is just reeling with the worst possible scenarios. Fortunately, it wasn't long before I found her. She had managed to get caught up on some rocks in a shallow section. Realizing that she's stuck but safe at the moment, I tell her to stay where she is and I'm going to come to her. So I make my way to the beach and drag my kayak up it a little bit and try to launch out to get out to her, but I didn't even get close. Fortunately, we had cell service, so we were able to communicate through text message, which was a godsend because there was no way we were going to be able to hear each other over the sound of the waves. At first, I tell her that the water is really shallow and she can probably just get out and reposition her boat. But by this point, she's absolutely terrified and doesn't feel safe getting out of her kayak. So I was able to tell her that we'll figure something else out. I thought maybe if the water is shallow enough, I could just wade out to where she is and help her out that way. But I stepped into the river and got about to my knees, and after feeling the power of the water and realizing that I don't actually know how deep it is here, I decided that wasn't a good idea. Then the plan was to drag my kayak further up the river so I could launch out and get to her. And let me tell you, that kayak was full of gear and it was heavy as fuck. So my plan was to copy something that I saw in a River Kings video. In that video, one of his group got into a situation, and what Pete did was actually get his kayak up alongside of a tree, and he was able to just hop out of his kayak and help. So I thought I could do something similar. If I could get my kayak wedged up against some rocks, I would be in a better position to help. Or at worst, at least my mom wouldn't be out there alone anymore. Once I got there, my mom started wiggling and trying to get herself free, but I told her to just hold on. My concern was that she might get herself loose and get spit down the river backwards, and we weren't all the way through that section yet. So I thought maybe I could throw her a line and pull her around and get her situated going the right way down the river. But that wasn't really working, and that's where the camera died. What ended up happening afterwards is that because it was shallow, I was able to just get up and get out of my boat and get her free. And I told her to get to the nearest shore and pull over there so that we could just take a rest and catch our breath for a few minutes. So after we took a couple minutes to rest and recoup, it was time to get going again. But we still had a few meters of fast moving water to get through before we were back in the nice calm flat river. At that point, my mom was so rattled that she didn't want to go through any more fast water. So we made our way up an embankment and walked along the river until we found a better spot to launch from. The plan was that I was going to go grab my kayak and paddle it there. Then I was going to go back and grab her kayak. But since that her kayak is set up for her and she's so much smaller than me, I was just going to attach it to a line and line it down the river. Now, if you look at this shot, you can see the embankment is pretty steep and it's full of loose rocks. So I'm walking along with my mom's kayak on a rope, and every step I'm taking is causing like a mini rock slide. At one point, I saw a rock about halfway up the embankment that had to be at least 200-300 pounds, and the only thing that went through my head at that moment was, if I cause a bit of a rock slide and that thing comes down on me and knocks me into the river and then pins me down, my mom's around the bend. She's not going to know what happened, and by the time she realizes that I should be back by then and something's wrong, it's going to be way too late. So I crammed myself into my mom's kayak like I'm cramming into a can of sardines and brought it back to her. And the rest of the trip was beautiful until the very end. The thing was that it was supposed to be a perfect day for pretty much most of the day, but we were going to have rains later on in the evening. I wasn't really worried about it because I knew we'd be off the water long before the weather came in. but that whole situation delayed us by probably about 2.5 hours. So by the time we landed and I called Sam for a ride, the rain came in. My mom had brought an umbrella with her. She actually brought it in case the sun was too hot. She would put it up to block herself from the sun. Me, on the other hand, I didn't bring anything with me. I got caught out in the wind and the rain with nothing but a t-shirt and shorts, and let me tell you, it was brutal. By the time Sam got there, I was soaked and cold, and I just wanted to get the hell out of there. But at the end of the day, it was actually a really good trip. Nobody got hurt, and I learned several lessons that I won't soon forget. So that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you found it entertaining, and if you did, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And thanks to all of you who've subscribed to the channel and enjoy the videos. I never thought I was going to make 100 subscribers, but now that I have, I think I need to work for 1,000. So I'm not sure when I'll get back out on the water. It is the middle of January after all. But if the weather stays nice, I'll try to get back out there as soon as I can. But until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.